Alright guys, back again. Now we're actually going to start building the scene. Alright, let me go back to bring up my layers. Alright, here we go. Okay, again, Joe, Camp Studio, TrueSpace. Alright, now what we're going to do first is we're going to highlight our models layer. And I'm going to bring back in my Peacekeeper 3 guy. And you'll see him right there. And now you can't have just a single mesh. It has to be done in groups. So what we're going to do on this layer is actually create a little piece of geometry. I'm going to go with a box. This guy here. The scale doesn't particularly matter for a lot of these things, because they're just markers and it's just to do the position and whatnot. And the dummy, and I'm going to rename this object here dummy. So the name is actually cube. I'm going to go, I believe it's underscore dummy, UMMY. Click enter, and that locks that in. And what you have to do is let me go and rename this guy here too. Alright, bring this back up, because the name is just solid 2. So I'm actually going to name him Shift P. So I'm going to name him Peacekeeper. So you'll see when we go up here into the scene editor, now you'll see the Peacekeeper and the dummy. And everything kind of has to be done in groups. So you're adding that dummy object, which will be nulled out because it's named underscore dummy, and the exporter will basically not export the geometry if it's called dummy. Now what we're going to do here is in the scene editor, I'm going to drag Peacekeeper onto dummy, and you'll see that it comes up no name. It has these two guys grouped. And what we're going to do is, I believe we're going to name it to our highest level. So just for the heck of it, just because of the notes I'm going off of, now this is somebody else who wrote a bunch of notes, and I have to get the name and thank them for it. They just use, I'm going to right click, and let me see here, it should say, alright, rename, and I believe I'm going to call this shape 64. 64. Might not. Let me see here. I'll lowercase that. Shape 64. Enter. Let me check my notes because it's probably incorrect. Okay, no, it is shape 64, because you'll see here it says create the shape, union it into a single shape object, rename the shape to be an object called shape 64. So now we have our shape 64 here. And that is all. Let me move this guy over here. And that's on the model layer. And now let me bring this guy up here. Okay, now create the collision object. Rename the collision object to be collision 01. So now I'm going to basically create a collision object. And I'm going to go to my collision layer, and on my collision layer I'm going to go again, create a box, right there, and okay, take him, delete him, take my collision, and I'm going to move it over here. Now, just so I can see better, I'm going to switch to, hopefully, wireframe mode. And I'm going to scale my collision box. tightly around my object. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to stay in wireframe mode. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back up to my model, and I'm going to make him invisible. And I want to go back down to my collision, find my axis for it, bring you up, and I want to take that to, I believe, 0. Enter. Alright. And then click my axes again to disappear it. And that'll be my cube. And we're located there. And I'm going to, let me see here, let me bring this guy back up. It'll be call 01. So to go from cube, I'm going to call it COL -1. Enter. Bring back up my notes just to make sure. To be collision 01. And that's what it is. Alright. Bring back up my notes, and then it tells me group as sibling between shape 64 and collision 01. And now I'm going to take collision 01. I'm going to take the shape 64, drag onto collision 01, and then you'll see that it wants me to rename it again. Now I'm going to rename this group to start 01. So let me rename. Call it START 01. Enter. And I'm going to pause for a second here to catch my breath. Alright, now that we have that, I'm back. I'm going to keep pausing, coming back, so it's going to be a little weird edit. Let me go back here and just make him active again, and you'll see my mesh guy back in there. And that box there. Now I'm going to go onto the markers layer, and I'm going to create 2 boxes, 1 and 2. Right click to get out of here. And I'm going to rename these objects. One will be underscore detail 64. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to name him at detail underscore detail 64. So we'll go detail 64. Enter. And then I'm going to go to this cube here, and it tells me underscore collision -1. So, just for the heck of it, let me pull out my notes. So I named it right there, and then I'm going to click enter, and you see it appearing up here in the box. Okay, on a scene editor, select each of the detail 64 and a collision 01 and start 01, then group them as a sibling. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to take my start 01, and I'm going to drag it on to say detail 64, and then I'm going to take my collision and drag that on to no name 1, and then I'm going to rename this to base 01. Base 01, enter. And now when we open it up, you'll see that I have the detail 64, the collision 01, the start 01 is the collision, shape 64, dummy, peacekeeper. Alright, so we're looking pretty good so far. Let's shrink some of that back up. I'm going to go back up here to Cam Studio to catch my breath, and I'm going to pause it. Alright, I'm back, and now what we're going to do now is I'm going to go onto my bounds layer, and what I'm going to do is create another box. Click here, right click to get rid of it, and then I'm going to eyeball this guy up, do a little scaling. This is my bounds, this is the world. This is the world for this little thing here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to this layer, I'm going to hide that guy there, and let me go here. Yep. Let's hide a few of these bad boys. There we go. Now I just want to be able to see my bounds, and I'm going to name this guy, I believe it's underscore BOUNDS, enter, and you see he's named up there, and I want to set the axis for this guy here, and you see him up there. Location, I know I want to do it, it's 00, enter. And you go 0, enter. So he's all the way over there. Now click add again to get rid of it, so I don't have to see the axis. And now I'm going to bring all my guys visible again. There we go. We got everything there. Now I'm going to pause again to catch my breath. Alright guys, just realized watching back the video here that a little bit of a mistake on the bounding box and the collision 01. I didn't have the axis set perfectly at 00 on the whole deal. So what I'm going to do here just to fix that, as I went, open my tree here, I have collision 01 marked. Now I'm going to bring up its axis, and you'll see that I didn't have the X at 0. 0, enter. Okay. And then also I believe on the bounds I did it. So let's click let's get rid of the axes. Go back to bounds. Click on the axes for the bounds, and you'll see right there. You always want all of your axes on 0, 0, 0. So let's get rid of that. Alright, now we should be fine right there. And we have our bounds, we have our whole shape. So let's just close that up. Base 01, bounds. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to add a material. So I believe we can get rid of that. Now I'm going to bring up my material editor. Alright, and we're going to expand that all the way out. And now I want to bring up, I'm going to have to go here, shape 64, and make sure that the peacekeeper is selected, because I'm going to find his texture, and I believe it was this one. I'm just going to click and drag it onto the painter. Get rid of that. I do want it set for smooth. And then I go here to on the color thing, and the little blue sphere here, I'm going to go up and select transparency plane, put that right there, and now on my reflectance I'm going to right click and bring up my shaders, and I believe this is my environment that I want. Click on here, and let me bring up my notes for the settings. I want to keep everything down as 0 except the diffusion slider. Diffusion, I want to take it up to 100. And then I'm going to paint my guy. You see that he's been painted. Alright. We'll give a little shake here to redo it. And let's bring up notes. And then it gets, and that should be all for that for now. I'm going to actually post these notes in the thread. It gives a whole thing. Alright, so I'm going to go here. Now we should be set up. I'm going to close that guy out here. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you what I'm going to set up on my desktop. So I'm going to bring up Cam Studio. And I'm going to pause, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back to recording here, guys. Now what I'm doing here on my desktop is I created a new folder called Peacekeeper, because that's going to be my object. And inside I pasted, I moved over the color map, and it has to, in the color map, and all your maps have to be inside that folder. And now what I'm going to do here, I believe, go new, and we're going to go to text document, and I'm going to highlight everything, and I'm going to call this Peacekeeper. .cfg. Click enter, and it'll tell me about the extension, but I want to keep it yes. No, I'm not really going to do anything with this CFG file. I just put in here because you have to get used to it. You'll add that in later, like if you don't want nodes to export and all that stuff. But I'm going to close that out for now, I believe. Now I'm going to bring back up my TrueSpace. I believe I can close all that out. Just for the heck of it, I'll go back here. That's everything. Now I should go down here to my exporter. Left click, and I'm going to save it to desktop. Go down and find trying to find my Peacekeeper, guys. Peacekeeper, and the file name is going to be it's going to be Peacekeeper DDS file, and I'm going to save. Alright guys, what I just realized that I did wrong was the naming of the bounds. I had underscore bounds, so I just renamed it and took the underscore out just so it says bounds, B-A-U-N-D-S. Alright, and now I did export it out. Let's see about exporting it again. And let me get rid of the scene editor. It's a little confusing between version 1 and version 2. So in version 2, I guess you don't use the underscore. So let me bring up the DDS again, and you'll see that I have it written there, but I'm going to try to overwrite it. So file name will be will be Peacekeeper. Whoop. Put that back up. Save. It says, do you want to replace already exists? But that's only because I did that. So yes, I'll do that. Okay, so now it's done. We'll click OK. Now we'll minimize TrueSpace here. And get rid of that. Let me bring up my Peacekeeper. You'll see it. That's the CFG file. That is the DDS. That, and then the dump file. So let's just open the dump file. And you'll see it gives us the whole list of what it did, pro, no, bounds. And you can see, and then use this for the dump file if you're having trouble. You actually, can go through and it'll tell you if something was done incorrectly. Alright, so that's our thing here. I'm going to pause again and then drop this into Torque. Alright guys, now what we're going to try here, I'll have a little amendment whatever at the end of the video here. Alright, so what we're going to try to do here is now bring in, let's see if I loaded them in here, library, meshes, art, shapes, Peacekeeper, there you go, you see him appear. Now he's off the ground, not 100% sure why, but let's go to and put him right around here. And let me switch over to third person camera, give us a little play, and you'll see, how you doing, Sammy? It's the cat. If we run around, you'll see our Peacekeeper guy in here. And let's see here. I'm using a bounding box, but you can see that our guy he's roughly the right scale, I'll say. It's another character I brought in here. Those are the other failed attempts, the scaling. Probably getting a little glitchy here on the video, but you'll see he's just about the right size. Alright guys, there's going to be a little amendment because of the dummy object. So I'm going to escape. Has it been? No, I don't care. Exit. Get rid of there. I'm going to edit this together and put a little thing at the end here. But hopefully we learned how to get a static object into from TrueSpace to Torque. Alright guys, this is Joe again. Thanks for watching.